History could be made this week in Congress, where a confirmation showdown is looming. The Senate getting ready to take a final vote on Betsy DeVos for Education Secretary tomorrow. And with two Republicans saying they'll join Democrats in opposing the school choice advocate, Vice President Mike Pence may have to break a tie. It would be the first time that has ever happened. After the DeVos vote, Republicans will spend the rest of the week trying to push through the nominations of Attorney General nominee Jeff Sessions, Health Secretary nominee Tom Price, and Treasury Secretary nominee Steve Mnuchin. President Trump still has just 4 cabinet members confirmed. And going back to Betsy DeVos, Charlie, those 2 GOP senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, are the 2 that announced that they would vote against her. All right, so he's got 4 confirmed. Where do things go now?
Well, obviously with Betsy DeVos, those Republicans really gave Democrats a lot of cover to oppose her. But Democrats have a much bigger question about how many of these do they want to drag out and how many of these want to block. And with the nomination of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court adds a lot of pressure to all that, because that's the thing that really matters to them. And really just, but I do think it's kind of funny, as somebody who isn't a big fan of the size of the federal government, not having, has anyone noticed that we don't have these secretaries in place?
I think people notice because we keep telling them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that what they're waiting for is for their lives
you could
to start
eliminate
to change.
several of these departments, and it would be 2 years before most average Americans would ever realize, except we would be talking about it.
Music to my ears, Charlie. Absolutely love it. But I think you're absolutely right. And people didn't realize that until they heard the name Sally Yates again.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, really? There's an acting attorney general? Oh, is there an acting secretary of state?
And now she's fired, so now everybody knows her. Yeah. So I would say this just really quickly. If the vote count stays the same with the 2 who are out, then, you know, the vice president steps up as the president of the Senate and he votes. But if they lose one more Republican, what happens? They're in trouble.
And one way to lose a Republican is if Jeff Sessions gets confirmed for AG, then you lose.
Oh, interesting.
They
Do you think they play dominoes like that on the Hill?
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
I got a 5, let me block your 10?
No, that's a big talking point for Democrats right now is, well, why don't you just go ahead and confirm Jeff Sessions if he's so important?
I got 10, you got 15?
Your AG, and then you won't have that extra vote in the Senate.
It just does seem like they're not picking their battles here. It's just everyone. They're going.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't pretend to understand what the Democrats are doing right now, but it's amazing to me that every nominee for anything is the end of the world. They're all Hitler. They're all the worst choices ever. Betsy DeVos is being, it's true, Betsy DeVos is being attacked for being successful and coming from a wealthy family. Steve Mnuchin is being attacked for being successful. This is one thing I will give the Trump administration all day long. It's good to have people in positions of power who know how business works, especially when it comes to things like the Department of Education and being Secretary of the Treasury. But the narrative about surrounding these people, they're not even giving them a chance. They're not even looking at their resume, and I can't believe just how dystopian the rhetoric is, especially regarding Betsy DeVos, who was parodied on Saturday Night Live this weekend. It's just some random person they brought in, not someone with all these people have incredible resumes, incredible backgrounds, but simply because they're conservative and working for this administration, you're going to press the panic button.
So
it's stupid.
Fair to say, based on what we have seen so far, 4 confirmed, Charlie, that Democrats are successful in their efforts to slow down this process?
Well, sure they are right now, but we haven't had another election. And as we see with Donald Trump talking about the judge out in Washington, he's going to make an issue out of it, and he's going to make an issue out of it in future elections in the states where a lot of these senators are from, and they very well could wind up paying
But I'm
a
like,
price.
Democrats, say something nice about anyone. Say something nice about anyone who's being appointed.
Betsy DeVos, and it's where the 2 Republicans say that they fall down on her, is just that her background does not match up with the public school system.
And
but then
it's because she's for charter schools.
Yeah,
let's call a spade a spade here.
There are a lot of charter public schools, and there's a lot of misinformation by Democrats and the left that somehow charter schools are all for-profit and they're all private schools, and that is not the case, particularly in some of the biggest school districts in the country. And you know,
New York City.
Yeah, I mean, LAUSD has a number of very successful charter schools that work in concert with the second biggest district in the country. But back to your point about the Supreme Court picks, are they going to bork every single nominee that the president puts forth? And, you know, that's a big question for a lot of these Democratic senators who are running for re-election in 2 years in states where Donald Trump won.
You heard it here first. Kennedy, are they going to bork them, all of them?